Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today is launch day for my new So Quilty quilt pattern. That's the one right behind me, and I have a new fabric line as well. So I'm so excited because today is launch day for a project that I've actually had in the works for a while, a little bit over a year as a matter of fact. It's for my So Quilty quilt pattern. You can see it right here behind me, and we'll get into the details of that in just a minute. I also created a brand new fabric line to go along with it, and this has been in the works for, like I said, a little bit. I created it back when I created our So Jolly cross stitch ornaments and quilty ornaments, and that was back in 2023. Here is what the So Jolly stitchy ornaments look like, and then I'll put a little picture here for the So Jolly quilty ornaments. I wanted to make a quilt pattern to go along with it because they were so much fun. So I designed it, but I also wanted to wait so that I could make some really fun fabric for you guys as well. So today is launch day for all of that. Now, if you're new to my channel, this is my fourth line of fabric. We are self-publishing fabric, so you cannot get this fabric in your quilt store or online anywhere else other than in my store. We decided to go ahead and self-publish because I wanted to do the designing, but I didn't necessarily want to have to be working for someone else. And so this has been working out really well for us. But what that means for you is there are limited amounts of kits. We are a small business. I am not trying to compete with any of the larger manufacturers or anything. We are just creating a nice little niche, exclusive, limited edition product for you guys to go along with my quilt patterns. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And I do appreciate your patience with us. We are a small company. And when I say small business, I mean myself, my husband, my mom, and a couple of my kids have helped cut, fold, bundle, package, tie, and ship every piece of fabric that has left our home. So we all do it here in-house. By in-house, I mean like in our dining room. We do not have the capacity to do huge quantities. So that's why they're always in limited quantities, but hopefully we're able to get some out to those of you who would like to get one. So if you like the quilt you see behind me and you're interested in the fabric, pause this video, head over to my store. There will be a link right below the video in the description, or you can go to store.confessionsofahomeschooler.com and it will be right there on the front page. You can check out the bundles. I suggest if you want one, you go ahead and get one now, then come back and watch the rest of the video because we do anticipate them selling out fairly quickly. Here is what the bundle looks like. Now, we had a lot of requests for a reprint of my Bloom fabric. So what I did was I used all of the same colors in Bloom. So if you were not able to get Bloom, you can go ahead and grab this bundle. It's going to be all the same colors. It's just going to be different prints. I didn't want to do all the same prints again. I also wanted to make this line a little bit of a sewing themed line. So it's not super kitschy sewing themed, but there are things in here that you will recognize as sewing themes. So we'll get in all of the details of the fabric here in just a second, but I did want to show you what the bundle looks like. There are 34 fat quarters that come in the bundle for this line. And then my quilt, which I'll show you in detail here in just a little bit as well, is actually made with my Bloom line. So that's how long ago I made this quilt. But when I got this new line in, I did want to use some of the fabric from it. So I pulled the borders off of my quilt. I added some borders from this line, and then I used the backing from this line as well. So if you're using this bundle to make your quilt, it is going to look a little bit different than mine. The colors are all going to be the same, but the prints you'll see are a little bit different. But I think you'll like this one, and I actually kind of want to remake that quilt in this line just because it's so cute. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at our kit. I'll show you all the fabrics that come in this bundle and what you're going to get in your kit. So here is the fabric, and we'll go through this bundle here in just a little bit, but I wanted to let you know the two different options that we have this time. So you can either get the full kit, which is the fat quarter bundle plus all of the fabric and the floss, and it also includes the pattern. So everything you need to complete the entire quilt, all you need is batting in the kit. Or you can just get the fat quarter bundle. We had a lot of people requesting just fat quarter bundles last time, so we made several just fat quarter bundles, and then of course we have a ton of kits as well. So those are your two options, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at everything. So I'm going to set the fat quarter bundle aside, and we're going to go through the finishing kit first. So for the backing fabric, we have this really cute all over print that has kind of a newspapery print behind it, and then little sewing notions. So we've got a pin cushion, little spools. There's a sewing machine on here. Let me see if I can, actually I'll open it up when we do the fat quarters because you will get a fat quarter of this in the bundle as well. For the backing, I have this really nice low volume. It's just a creamy low volume with little tan dots. And this is a reprint of the background from the Harvest collection, if you got that. And then for the outer border, we have this cute floral. It's like little bunches of florals, and that's going to be really cute for that outer border. Kind of gives it like a vintage vibe is what I was going for, so I love this print. As a matter of fact, when you see my quilt, you'll see that I did this print all on my backing. We're going to be using this aqua scissor print for the sashing strips in between the blocks. And then we also have our red gingham. We're going to be using the one in the finishing kit for our binding. And then there's also a fat quarter in our bundle here that we're going to be using for the little cornerstones that look like little pluses. And then I have a skein. You won't need this whole skein, but I have a skein of DMC 840, and that is for the 2 blocks that have a little bit of embroidery on them. There is information on how to do the embroidery in the pattern, and there's also a template for you to follow as well, so you can just place that template behind your block, trace it with like a friction erasable pin or whatever disappearing ink you would like, and then you can stitch that on. There's only 2 blocks, the tomato pincushion and the iron block, that need this, so you'll have a bunch of this left over. So that's the finishing package, and then we'll take a look at your fat quarter bundle. This is what it's going to look like when you get it. It's super fun and pretty. I used all of the Bloom colors, so this is all the same colors from the Bloom line, but I changed the prints so they're a little bit sewing themed, so you'll see that. So let's go ahead and go through those. So the first one we have is this brown scissor print, and it's just got an all over scissors. We also have a lighter brown that is a floral, and these two are going to be used for things like the spool and the scissors and the sewing machine. You don't need a whole fat quarter for those, but I did want to put one in the kit anyway, just so that you have them for future projects, because you can always use a nice good brown. And then we have a lot of fun denims. So I've got the scissor print. I have that all over little floral print. I love this one so much. This is one of my favorites from the collection. Of course, we did a gingham, and then here is the blue floral. And then here are the stripes. The stripes are so fun. So I don't know if you can tell on camera here, but they have tiny little pincushions and thread spools growing up the vine. So I just thought that was such a cute idea. And that's it for the denims. And now we have some aquas, and I'm going to open this one up so you can see it. It's an all over print that just has a ton of different pattern pieces on it. And so I thought that was kind of a fun thing to add to this line. So we've got that one in aqua. We've got our aqua floral. We have our aqua scissors, an aqua gingham, of course, had to do the gingham. This is my favorite color, love it. And then we have some light blues. So I did a light blue with that same dot. This is the same dot from that background fabric. We've got a light blue with the florals. We have the light blue with the little baby blooms, blossoms, whatever you want to call it. Here is the light blue stripe. This one, I almost turned around once I got it and ordered an entire bolt of it, because I thought this would be so cute and sweet for a backing. And again, it's got the pin cushion and the spools on there, but oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love it so much. And so that's it for our blues. There are a lot of blues in this collection. I love blues, so I think that's probably pretty obvious here. But now we're going to move on to the greens. We've got the green floral. We've got the green for the scissors. And these are pulling a little bit pea green on this. They're not pea green. They're the same exact green that was in the Bloom. It's kind of like so it's not quite as yellow as it's looking in my camera. And then we've got a green gingham. And then now we are going to move into the oranges, and actually I think to make them even, I'm going to put these greens down here. Okay, so I'll put those greens there. Now we have oranges. I only did 2 oranges because you don't need a whole lot for this collection. So I did the orange floral, and then I did the orange stripe, and it's got pink pincushions and pink spools, which I thought was really cute. And then we have some fun pinks. So I did the pink with those little blossoms on there. I did the pink scissors, of course. I did the pink with the stripe, and these ones have the red spools and pin cushions. Super cute. I love this stripe. This might be one of my favorite stripes I've done. And then I did the pink basic. It's probably hard to see on the camera, but it just has the little dots on it, same from the background. So this is a really nice neutral pink you can use. So that's the pinks and oranges. And then for the reds, I've got the red scissor. I have the red floral. I've got that red all over print for the patterns, all over pattern print. And I'm wishing I would have done that in the navy because I think that would have been really cute as well in the navy. And then I've got the red blossoms. Of course I have the red gingham, and this is what you're going to be using for the cornerstones in the quilt pattern. I did a low volume with the blossoms, and this is the one that you'll be using for your outer border, but I also put a fat quarter of it in the bundle. You also get a fat quarter of that background fabric, just that nice low volume. These are great for backgrounds. And then I also thought this would have been a really cute backing with the stripes. It just really screams vintage to me, and it's just so cute and sweet. Just what a sweet little print. I love it so much. And then here's the main print, and this is what we'll be using for the backing. So I'll open up this fat quarter so you can see it a little bit better. And so we've got that all over newspaper print. We have some pin cushions, some florals. I've got some strawberries in there. I have a sewing machine, and then there's a big pin cushion here and there as well. So this is a really fun overall floral print, and this is what is used for the backing in the kit, and it's just such a fun print. I didn't have enough of this, like I said, to do my backing with this. So I went ahead and gave mine away to one of you guys for the kits, and I ended up using this print for my outer border, and you'll see that here in just a second as well. So, but this print is what you're going to get as your backing in the kit, and it's just such a fun, cute print. I also was thinking this would be really cute to use on like a tote bag, pillowcases. That would be really cute as well. So actually a lot of these prints would be really cute for pillowcases. All right, so that's the whole line. So if you get the fat quarter bundle, these are all of the prints that you're going to get in your bundle. And then if you get the kit, you'll get all of these prints plus the finishing. So the only thing you will need to finish your quilt if you get the kit is quilt batting, and then obviously your sewing machine and thread. But all of the fabric that you need for everything is included in the kit. So that is the collection. If you like this collection, I highly suggest running over to the store and grabbing it before you watch the rest of this video. They sell out really quickly. I do apologize, but if you want one, I would go ahead and go grab one now. Okay, so here's everything like I said that you're gonna get in your kit. All right, let's take a look at the actual quilt itself. So the So Quilty quilt finishes at 59 by 74. So it's a good size lap quilt. You can throw it over your couch. You could even hang it on a wall if you have the space. I have mine on a quilt ladder. You can decorate your bed or anywhere that you'd like to add a little bit of sewing related decor. Now, like I mentioned, I used my Bloom fabric line, but I also mixed in a few of the fabrics from my So Quilty line as well, just because I loved it so much and I wanted to be able to have some of that fabric in there. Your quilts are going to turn out a little bit different with this kit, but it's going to be so cute. Like I mentioned, the So Quilty quilt features all of the same motifs that were featured in our So Jolly Stitchy and Quilty ornaments as well. So we've got a tape measure, a fat quarter bundle, a sewing machine, an iron, some scissors. The scissors might be one of my favorite blocks. We've got some bobbins. We've got a jar full of yarn balls or thread balls, whatever you prefer. We have a spool with a little heart on it. Of course, we have our tomato pin cushion. We've got a ruler and a rotary trimmer, a bowl of buttons, and then of course, lastly, we have a beautiful stack of quilts. The quilt also features a really cute dashed sashing, which I love because it reminds me of running stitches when you're sewing. And then we did little plus signs in between those for the corner spaces. And then I also did a really cute outer border. Now I again mixed and matched my fabric a little bit, so your kit's going to be a little bit different. I used the fabric that you're going to be using on the backing if you get this kit. I used that on my outer border because I had a bunch of scraps left over when we were cutting the backings. And then on the back side, I used the fabric that you're going to have on your outer border. And that's just because that's some of the stuff that I had left over, and I was able to piece some things together to make mine work. Your pattern includes little swatches for each of the things like the borders and the backings and the bindings, so you know which fabric to use for that. It'll also be pretty obvious when you get it in your kit. The kit is bundled with the fat quarter bundle in a bag and then all of your finishing supplies in another bag, so they're kept a little bit separate. I also did something different this time, and you'll have to let me know if you like it or not, but I put little swatches of which fabric to use for the cutting instructions for each block as well. Now, if you don't get the kit or you don't want to use this fabric, I figured that will still give you an idea of the colors or the styles of fabric that I used for each one, and so that will just help you when you're picking your fabrics. So I would love to hear what you think about that addition in the comments below. I'm always striving to make my patterns easier to read and understand for everyone who will be making them. For the quilting on my quilt, I tried something new and I did a mix of meanders plus little tomatoes because I thought while I was getting ready to do it, I have a standard sort of grouping of free motion patterns that I like to just do. And I thought, you know what, I want to do something different this time. And the little tomatoes reminded me of the pumpkins and I felt fairly confident in the pumpkins. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it and make them look like tomatoes. So I think I did that. All I did was some meander and then I would come in, do sort of an oblong, you know, not an oval, but like sort of a squished circle. And then I did 3 little leaves at the top of that for the tomato, and then I meandered my way out of there. And so it was a really easy pattern to do. I do freehand mine because my machine does not have the automations that some machines have. So, you know, I'm just down there like winging it, but it's a lot of fun. Plus I love learning and trying new things. So it's not absolutely perfect, but it was a lot of fun. And now I have a new design in my arsenal that I can pull out when needed. For the backing on this, like I said, I actually use the fabric that you're going to be using for your outer border, but I love this fabric so much. It has a little bit of a vintage vibe to it in my opinion, and it was just a really cute print for all over. Then of course I added one of my labels. This label is from the Sweetwater tag subscription, and I have a whole little stack of labels built up, and then I just flip through them and find one that matches my quilts when I'm ready to put a label. So for this one I did it a little bit differently, and I added actually 3 layers of fabric. So I always like to put my label on a white or something lighter to help keep the other prints from showing through that label. So I put it on the white background fabric, then I put it on that aqua gingham, and then I added that denim color just to frame it all and make that label pop a little bit. And I did sew my label on using my machine after my quilt had been quilted. Sometimes I will actually piece it into the backing or stitch it onto the backing first. This time, to be truthful with you guys, I 100% forgot to label this quilt because I've been doing so many pieced backings lately. With the last few quilts that I have released, I just forgot about it, honestly. And so I went ahead and added that label afterwards. So if you look super closely, you could see that label being stitched on the front, but I don't think just looking at the quilt you can tell. I do it all the time on my quilts, and I've never had anyone say, what's this weird square quilted in the front? So it's just not that noticeable when you get everything pieced and put together. And then especially when you wash it and your quilting gets all crinkly, people will never even notice. So if you're like me and you forget to label your quilt sometimes, that's a little tip for you. Go ahead and just add it afterward. The important thing is that the label's on there. And if you really don't like that front stitching, you can also hand stitch it on as well. I'm not a huge hand stitcher, so I tend to just use my machine whenever I can. For the binding on this, I did do the red gingham binding. Now I had saved some red gingham from my Bloom collection, so that is what I used on this. But like I said, since I reused all the same colors from that palette, it blended perfectly, and it's also the same red that I used for my little cornerstones as well. For my background, I used my low volume background that came with my Bloom collection again, and then all of the blocks also use the Bloom fabric as well, because like I said, I made my quilt about a year ago. It's just been sitting waiting for me to be able to design this fabric for you. So anyways, all of the fabric on the inside of the quilt is from my Bloom collection, and then that outer border and the backing are from the new line. So I think that's about all the information on this quilt. I hope you love it as much as I do. It was so much fun to make. Now, as far as skill level goes, I would say this is confident beginner, maybe even a little bit of an intermediate, only because there are a lot of pieces. But truth be told, if you take them one block at a time, I think you'll be fine. If you've done any of my previous patterns, you'll know that we have graphic illustrations, step-by-step instructions for every step of the way. So they are fairly easy to follow. And then the other tip that I have, and this is also in the pattern, is to either pre-starch your fabrics or use Mary Ellen's Best Press when you're using those like tiny little pieces, for example, the needle on the sewing machine, anything like that where you need to be a little bit more precise. I like to use the Mary Ellen's Best Press because that helps keep those pieces from distorting. And then of course you're always going to just want to be getting better at that straight 1/4 inch seam. So the more accurate you are, the better your projects will turn out. And honestly, I think personally, I like to challenge myself by taking on a quilt that maybe isn't quite as easy, because I learn something every time I do that. And then of course you're just improving your quilting skills. The other thing that I've been doing probably over the last year or so when I started starching my fabrics is realizing the benefit to either pre-starching your fabric or using Mary Ellen's Best Press on those outer borders. Now what it does is it just gives your fabric a little bit more stability, and when you have outer borders, a lot of times they can start getting a little bit wavy, and one thing that can really help with that, and your long armor, or you if you're long arming your own quilt, will really help them, is to pre-starch or Mary Ellen's Best Press those strips of outer borders. That helps give them a little bit more stability and they aren't all wavy. And then you'll notice when you're quilting it that as you're quilting, you know, the fabric just gets pushed slightly as you go. And when you get to that outer border, a lot of times you'll find there's some puckers along that edge, or it just gets pushed so that the edge, instead of being straight, has just a little bit of a curve to it as well. And having that starch or Best Press on there is really going to help minimize that. And you'll find that as you're going along and quilting, that those borders stay a lot straighter and they aren't being pulled and tugged and distorted. So those are my tips for working with small pieces and also just making sure that you have a nice straight quilt when you're all done. If you're brand new to quilting and you need more help, I have videos on pretty much every step of the way. I have a How to Quilt series here on YouTube you can check out, and that shows everything from supplies to how to piece, but it also goes into preparing your backing, basting and quilting your quilt, preparing your binding, binding your quilt, how to starch your fabric, all of those steps along the way. So check out all those videos as well. And if I remember, I'll try and link that playlist in the end credits here as well. So we are going to be doing a sew along for this quilt pattern, so I am going to make this little announcement video kind of brief. We will be doing a sew along in the future. I will keep you guys posted on dates for that sew along. Also, make sure you're following me on social media. I will be keeping up with everything and announcing things on Instagram and Facebook. So that's it for our launch for Sew Quilty Quilt and my new fabric line. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I love this one so much. So let me know in the comments below what you think about it. Head over to my store and check it out. If you don't want the fabric at all, the patterns will also be available in both PDF and print format, and you can get those patterns separately from the fabric if you would like. But if you do get a bundle, keep in mind your pattern does come with that bundle. All right, I think that's it for everything today. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the new quilt and the new fabric line. I hope you guys love it as much as I do. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next video. Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today is launch day for my new, what's it called? So let's go ahead and take a look at our quilt kit So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the kit here. I'll show you all the, oh my gosh, can't talk today. For the quilting on my quilt, I did a mix of, what did I do? Oh,